Welcome to Reddit Reader. What industry is a lot shadier than it seems? My dad knows a story from someone who works for a nationwide grocery chain. They have to deal with an Italian mafia to import balsamic vinegar. More businesses than you think have to deal with mafiosos and gangsters. I once helped a gang relations person with Habitat for Humanity get reassurance that their volunteers would be protected in an American inner city. They apparently always speak with the gangs beforehand for safety reasons. More people died last year over vanilla in Madagascar than cocaine in South America. They've even coined the term vanilla murder. Farmers hire armed mercenaries to guard their crops from thieves near harvest time, and if one is caught, well, let's just say it's in response to all the farmers that were killed by thieves for the same reason. The maritime industry. Most of the big companies do things by the book and treat crews well because they're afraid of lawsuits and unions. But many smaller mom and pop companies break laws and violate safety regulations with reckless abandon because they're not as visible and can stay under the radar, so to speak. It's very common for a small company to ask a captain or crew to do something illegal and dangerous in order to increase profit, and for the captain or crew to comply out of fear of losing their jobs. And that's just the U.S. maritime industry. Sailors from poorer nations who work on ships are often fed little more than rice and cheap ramen for months at a time and paid pennies for their backbreaking work. I love running tugs for a living, but the industry as a whole is rife with shady business. A lot of hobby fish importing is pretty shady. You have farms of certain types of fish, like betas in some areas of the world, that are run with fish in horrible conditions, which is why a lot of the ones you get in major chain stores are sick before you even bring them home. The stores will blame the fish being stressed, but I've ordered and received hundreds of fish from small breeders, sellers, and outside of Cory catfish that really enjoy committing suicide by poisoning their own water. The fish arrive healthy and fine. Outside of boutique fish farming, the way some wild fish are caught are just horrible. The trappers will lightly poison the water supply to knock out the fish, then scoop them out of the water without a care for that area's ecosystem. This has led to the depletion of some natural species to the point that they are now endangered. Lastly, boutique fish sellers and major chains do not give a rat's what happens to the fish in the end. This means that people who buy fish like plecos, betas, goldfish, etc. end up getting sick of them and dumping them in local waterways to supposedly get rid of the problem. So in some areas, these fish have completely destroyed the local water ecology because, like other invasive land species, they were never meant to be there. One of the worst offenders is the lionfish in Florida. It's venomous and it has no natural predators, so its population has exploded out of control. All industries are shadier than they seem. I used to work for a flute manufacturer and it was shady as hell. Deets? I don't want to name the manufacturer, but it was around the 2008 financial crisis, and the place was equity owned and leveraged to Mars. The CEO is committing bank fraud and screwing contractors while laying off employees and enriching himself. Was there a whistleblower among the flutists? Eyeglasses. You have no idea the snow job they put most people through when it comes to buying them. It's far, far worse than trying to buy a new car from a dealership. Wholesale frames are about $5 to $20. Wholesale lens blanks are another $10. Any kind of dip coating, UV, tinting, etc. is negligible cost and effort to apply. Literally pennies. To top it off, they don't even do a whole lot in-house, but send it to labs, which are basically sweatshops that can take up to 2 to 3 weeks when labor time is really under 5 minutes. Instead of training real opticians and technicians, they're just glorified sales staff now. Most of the time, they don't even bother with proper measurement for PD, frame width, or arm fitting. Was an optician in the early 90s. I'm horrified at what the business has become. Recruitment industry. Some examples. Fake jobs to lure candidates for registration KPIs. Training negotiation tactics of telling a candidate that there is a better candidate who wants less, so we recommend less for you to get the job, especially for contractors. Coveting off, pitching, and telling a candidate they have been sent to a line manager, but in reality they haven't been submitted because 2 others from the same recruiter have already been in interviews. If they fail, you might get a chance. A lot of coded ways to put on a database info on your age, non-professional related appearance, and ethnicity. Ageism, sexism, racism is rampant in hiring. A lot more dodgy stuff behind the scenes. Source: was involved with the industry on a global level for over 15 years before I changed careers. Don't forget to like this video if you liked it, dislike if you disliked it, and subscribe so you don't miss our next upload.